I never told my daughter about my secret warehouse in the city center and what I kept in it. I never expected my gold-digging son-in-law to know. While I was at home, the warehouse manager called me in panic. "Sir, your son-in-law is here. He's got bolt cutters." I'd been waiting for this because he had no idea what he was breaking into. The call came at 11:42 on a Tuesday night. The manager has known me 11 years and never once heard me raise my voice. Maybe why his was shaking and mine wasn't. He asked if he should call the police. I told him no. Two things. Let my son-in-law cut that chain, then call the number on the card I'd left him in the spring. He said, "Sir, are you sure?" I said, "I've been sure for 3 weeks." It started with an invoice 4 months earlier. Unit 4C, City Center, $340 a month, auto pay. I opened it the year my wife got sick, when I stopped trusting the house to hold what mattered. My daughter knew the unit existed the way you know your father has a past, vaguely, without asking. Her husband was not built that way. He found the March invoice on my counter and something switched on behind his eyes like a porch light. Then came the careful little questions, none aimed at me. "What does your dad keep downtown? Why would a retired man pay for storage he never visits?" My daughter couldn't answer, and told me laughing, like it was sweet. I didn't laugh. He'd insisted on handling their refinance the year before. Every form, every signature page, every notary visit. Paperwork was his thing. Remember that. 6 months before that phone call, my attorney ran a routine title search on my daughter's house. It sits inside the family trust, and found a second lien, $92,000, recorded the previous spring, secured by my daughter's signature, notarized 2 counties away on a Tuesday she'd spent at my kitchen table boxing her mother's dishes. She never signed it. The signature was close, her name walking with somebody else's legs, close enough that the handwriting examiner would only say consistent with tracing. The notary's license had lapsed, and her office sat empty. "You can't arrest a signature," my attorney told me. "Nobody saw him hold the pen. You need intent, something overt." I filed a report anyway. An economic crimes detective told me the same thing in fewer words. Then he slid a card across the counter. "If this man ever does something you can photograph, call me first." So I gave my son-in-law something to do. I never told my daughter. That was the hardest part. Sunday dinners, her husband refilling my glass, me knowing what was recorded against her house. She would have confronted him. He would have cried, and the loan would have vanished into a refinance, and with it, the only proof of what he was. So I stayed quiet and set the table. One Sunday, I left a new inventory sheet where the invoice used to sit. One line, contents, appraised collection, 1.9 millimeters. I watched him photograph it over the roast, his phone flat against his leg like a boy cheating on a math test. Then I drove down and told the manager, "If my son-in-law shows up, don't stop him. Call me." Then call the card. For 3 weeks, nothing. He got warmer, laughed at my jokes, carried dishes, asked about my health. The warmth was the advance work of a eulogy. A man like that only softens when he's decided you're already gone. My daughter said, "He's been so sweet with you lately, Dad." I agreed that he had. Then the Tuesday, the call, the bolt cutters, the cameras streamed to a phone app. I sat at my kitchen table and watched him park under the light he thought was burned out. I'd had it disconnected. He stood at the chain a full minute and walked back to the van, and I caught myself hoping. The door opened again at 11:58. The chain took him 40 seconds, harder than the movies make it look. The detective texted from the dark, "In position. Let him get inside." I texted my daughter nothing. She'd know by morning. They could have taken him at the fence. Trespass, damage, burglary once the door came up. Enough to arrest a man, not enough to ruin one. We needed him deeper, opening boxes, on camera, long enough to understand what he was holding. He tore into box 1 and found files. Box 2, files. On the footage, you can see the second he stops being a thief and becomes a defendant, because I never kept treasure in that unit. I kept paper, deeds, titles, my wife's estate, 30 years of tax records, and for the last 6 months, the case against him. Certified copies of the loan, the examiner's report, the notary log with the missing page, every sheet he'd need to understand what he'd broken into, stacked in banker's boxes under a bright orange appraisal sticker. 40 seconds of bolt cutters had just turned a signature nobody could prove into intent the whole county could watch. The